Hello and welcome to my Pacifist series, something that I swear does not exist anywhere else, so please do not look it up. And the rules for this challenge is simple. Number 1. Do not kill any humans or animals. Obviously, for pacifist reasons, killing is prohibited. If there is no other option but to kill an enemy, I will go in this order. First, I will find a way for them to kill themselves or have an ally do it for me. If I cannot do this, I will hog tie them if the enemy is human. However, I must wait until the third mission, Old Friends, before I can unlock the lasso. This isn't very pacifist, however it incapacitates them and keeps them from dying. If hog tying an enemy is not available, then I will melee them. This will count as a knockout, as although technically they aren't dead, it's not very pacifist. Before I get my own hands dirty, I will try and get my horse to trample them. I have caused a death, however the blood will not be in my hands. Using a weaker melee weapon such as a throwing knife or axe, and finally using the weakest gun I have at my disposal. And the last rule for this is no side missions. I will be trying to complete the main story as quickly as possible. Now with that info, we start the prologue of the game. Outlaws of the West. Certainly a better naming for the first mission of the game than just prologue. After getting the gang warm and safe, Arthur and Dutch meet up with a man playing the opposite of a pacifist challenge.
You up ahead! Who's there?
No, blue balls. Let me show you what it's all about.
We ride up to find a nice cottage, where Dutch insists on talking to the people in the cottage alone.
Let me do the talking. We don't want to scare these folks.
While listening to his speech, Micah finds out someone other than him is murdering people and is very jealous.
Folks, there's a corpse right here.
Waiting for Dutch to make new friends, he decides that their hentai is not good enough.
Please. I am kind of desperate.
Show us your hentai. Jesus! Is that a trap?
Despite this ability to kill them so quickly, suddenly Dutch is winded and won't fire another shot while Micah flails his revolvers around, hitting nothing. I decided to make things easier by disarming the 3 opponents. However, after my first fail, I suddenly lose the ability to see my health, making this a much more difficult task. While hiding, I discover that Micah's presence is not seen in Red Dead Redemption 1, unlike Dutch, meaning he has a lot less plot armor and dies.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
I decided to see if these 3 men could even die, as I had been playing this mission for so long that I wasn't even sure that they could be damaged. So with the help of a mod menu, I gave myself God mode and disarmed the 3 enemies, letting myself become their human punching bag. I decided that Micah's weapons were not enough to kill them, so I decided to see how far I could leave the mission before I would fail. Weirdly enough, I could actually lead them to a cliff where they could fall off. However, I couldn't manage to get any of them to toss themselves off by accident. So unfortunately, on the first mission of the game, I'm going to have to knock out these 3 enemies as I have not unlocked the lasso.
I don't go down that easy.
After knocking out only 2 of the 3, more enemies will spawn and are quickly killed by Dutch and Micah. However, this still leaves the 3rd enemy from the last wave, and even though I tried my hardest to get them to shoot him, he still would not die. So therefore I still would have to take him out as my 3rd knockout. A man emerges from the outhouse, however Micah quickly takes him out. Another man flees, and I let him go free. After that, we finally enter the cottage to take some supplies until Dutch demands us to check the barn.
Arthur, go see if there's anything in that barn.
Knowing that there's an enemy inside, I decide to watch Micah for a little while until he is stuck in animation loop hell, doomed to search the same cupboard forever. Well, don't get mad at me about it, I didn't shoot anybody. For a few moments, I tried being pacifist and not hitting him whatsoever to see if Dutch would do anything. However, he just stood there and watched me get my ass beat. So I decided that I would give him a few kicks in, however, I was able to let him go off scot-free. And yes, although he probably died to the storm, that's not really my fault. So Arthur gets himself a new horse, and Micah disturbingly messes around with Sadie, and in the incident burns down the house. Sadie, being totally okay with this somehow, or at least having no other choice, decides to ride with them back to camp. Without a choice, we are immediately put into the next mission, enter Pursued by a Memory, where Arthur and Javier go to save John after the Blackwater massacre and taking in a few new scars.
That's quite a scratch you got there.
Which are pretty badass. The mission goes quite slowly and is quite easy as well, as of course it is mostly a tutorial mission. However, after saving John and slinging him over your shoulder, we take him over to the horses where 3 wolves appear, clearly ready to finish John off. At first I was pretty dumbfounded on how I was going to do this. Of course, I couldn't shoot or kill any of the animals yet, so I had to do some testing. First I ran around the area to make sure that Javier could take John over to the horses. However, once he did, he would just stand there and do absolutely nothing. This forced me to do something to get the wolves to die. And thankfully enough, there was a cliff nearby where I could actually get the wolves to fall off. I was actually quite surprised that this worked, as before in the last mission I wasn't able to get any of the human enemies to fall off the cliff. Once the wolves gracefully fall off the cliff, Javier is then suddenly able to put John on his horse. Hoping that this is all over and we get to return to camp with no problems, my plans are quickly dissolved by more wolves showing up. These ones are different from the last wolves, as they will not stop chasing Javier until he suddenly flies off of his horse. There was nothing that I could do to get them to stop, and often multiple times I ended up trampling the wolves by accident, which made me have to restart from the checkpoint. I even tried to get off the horse to at least mess up their AI and maybe give them a few kicks. However, they were way too fast for me and there was nothing that I could really do. I carefully took out individual wolves and I tried to find out if there was any that I could leave alive. However, unfortunately, I did have to trample all 3 of them, as there was literally nothing that I could do in the time span that I had. But after that, that ends this mission, and actually this episode. It is actually quite short, as it is my first time doing this, so I'd like to see your feedback. The grand total so far is 3 knockouts and 3 tramples. And in the next episode, we'll be getting the lasso, so I'll be fooling around with that and figuring things out from there. The best way to support me is to like the video and also consider subscribing. However, that really is up to you, I don't really care. So thank you for watching and have a good day.